Oh no, Noah Hawley to produce woke alien series for Disney? Well, that's one of the things that's been running around. He was going to produce this alien TV series, and I guess that Star Trek movie is as dead as they said it was. But Noah Hawley, I've seen good work from the man. I loved his Fargo series. Legion was really cool. It fizzles at the end, unfortunately, but put up against others, pretty damn good. So him taking on something like Alien sounded like a really cool thing. And then there was his statement to Vanity Fair. So he says, it's not a Ripley story. She's one of the great characters of all time. And I think the story has been told pretty perfectly. And I don't want to mess with it. It's a story that's set on Earth. The alien stories are always trapped because you can't get trapped on Earth, I guess. Trapped in a prison, trapped in a spaceship. I thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit so that the stakes of what happens if you can't contain it are more immediate. So they'll be trapped in some laboratory facility type thing, and they break out, and the creatures could overrun the world. So that's the stakes. Anyway, on some level, it's also a story about inequality. Here we go. You know, one of the things that I love about the first movie is how 70s a movie it is, and how it's really this blue-collar space trucker world in which Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton are basically waiting for Godot. They're like Samuel Beckett characters, ordered to go to a place by a faceless, nameless corporation. The second movie is such an 80s movie, but it's still about grunts. Paul Reiser is middle management at best. So it is the story of the people you send to do the dirty work. In mine, you're also going to see the people who are sending them. We've already seen them. It was called Prometheus. You know. And some of those were in, what was it, Alien 4? Yeah, the only alien movies that count are Alien and Aliens. The others are pretty bad. And the subsequent sequels, though, end up making Alien 3 look pretty good, which is an amazing achievement. But anyway, so if this is supposed to be the big deal that you're going to see the corporate heads, it's not that big of a deal. So you will see what happens when the inequality we're struggling with now isn't resolved. If we as a society can't figure out how to prop each other up and spread the wealth, then what's going to happen to us? There's that great Sigourney Weaver line to Paul Reiser where she says, I don't know which species is worse. At least they don't fuck each other over for a percentage. Yeah. Well, Noah Hawley, who are you working for again? You're talking about a powerful corporation that bent the knee to a genocidal, racist, tyrannical government and thanked them for it. And where have you been over the past few years, especially last year? Oh boy, no one is in any mood for this crap, and you're in no position to lecture anyone about this. By the way, spread the wealth. Wealth is to be earned, not spread, not distributed. You know, everything you preach leads to, shrinking the power within the hands of a few who decide who get what crumbs, you know? So, why don't you just stick to a horror movie with science fiction elements, which is what Alien was, originally called Star Beast. And Truckers in Space, and they got that idea from Dark Star and thought, that's a neat idea. And that was part of the aspects of it and how cool it looked and all the sets and whatnot, how it looked used and that sort of thing. Even Star Wars did that, you know, where it's kind of like you're seeing an aged world of equipment and stuff. And that was a neat thing. And that spread out in other elements. You can see that certainly in Outland, where it's recognizable. It looks like people who might have, worked on an oil rig or something like that, or platform, and it has that look to it. And it's just more familiar, surrounded by sci-fi stuff. instead of being all brightly lit like Star Trek and stuff that's so far removed from what you understand and know. And so that it makes the monster scarier because it looks like a place you recognize, even though it's in this distant future thing. And it was a cool take and how they pulled that off. And of course, that was great. And but you know, why do this every time this happens? You know, this is your initial statement on this, that it's going to be this political lecture. Every time it happens, it means there's not a lot here. It says, oh, well, we're going to really delve into the corporation that, you know, set this all in motion. Which, again, has been dealt with in the other movies. But every time they do this, it means you're lacking in story. That, well, then, you know, you don't like poor people or what have you. If you don't like this movie or something like that, or you're cruel and you don't have compassion and this sort of thing. Now be the element for it, rather than, well, what's the purpose of this? What is it? You know, it is, well, you know, the aliens are a threat to human life. If they got on the earth, they would overrun it, and it would be horrible, you know. And that sort of thing. Then you can't craft something out of that, and just the basis of humanity. Already you've separated people, you've divided them, and you're giving us people just by their positions in life the reasons why we should hate them, and all that sort of thing. With aliens, obviously, yeah, the corporation was the villain that was setting them up for this, for their reasons for wanting these creatures. And it was always said, oh, they're going to be somehow turned into trained soldiers of some sort of have pet soldiers that was going to give them an edge in some sort of war. Well, what was the war? There's an aspect to it. You know, what is that? Where does it go? Well, what are the factions? What is it about? And you could expand on that. You could expand on a universe that's suggested here, but they never do. At least Prometheus tried to tell the only story that wasn't told out of the two Alien movies. That's what Alien 3 should have been about, was the damn space jockey. Who was that? You know, well, Prometheus gives us the engineers, and oh, they created mankind, and all that, shrinks it right back down. And all the alien shows up at the end. So see, that's how it got created. And then the idea is, I think Ridley Scott wanted to move it on into its own other story. You know, it says, yeah, it takes place in the same universe, but it goes off on its own, which would have been fine enough. But then it did Alien Covenant, which, oh my God. I mean, Prometheus is it's boring. It kind of falls apart at the end, but it's interesting. It has some interesting aspects to it. Covenant is just god awful. It's so stupid. So many dumb things in it. You know, and they spent some money on it. Some of it looks interesting, but oh, it's bad. I mean, yeah, Alien 3 is better than that. It's as dour and stupid as Alien 3 is. And the other Alien movies are just, you know, fun. The Alien versus Predator and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. So, but the aspect of what more can you do out of it when you want to make a universe, which means a franchise out of something? What is the story to tell? You know, we've had Ripley's story. You still could have had her in a third one where they, you know, I think they probably should have just had they escape, you know, and at the end of Aliens, and then they end up crashing back on the planet, and because the ancient alien ship is there, and that could have led to the discovery of who the engineers were and all that sort of stuff. Or, yeah, what's this war? What's it about? Now, there were some people who suggest that, and I think even Scott referred to this, that possibility of linking it to Blade Runner because, you know, the replicants are very similar to the androids that they have on the ships, and it could be like the androids are like from a competitor type thing to the replicant company, and all this type of stuff you could have, and even Outland could be brought in because it looks so similar. And it's all the same, but what's the war about, you know? So it's like, oh, it's a war between corporations or what, or striking workers on colonies and that type of thing. And could have done that. And maybe it will in this, but it all takes place on Earth because it'll be cheaper to do. And you're just going to preach, about how bad America is and how capitalism is terrible while reaping the benefits of it. And, do as I say, not as I do. So it's a sad thing because Hawley is a talented man, but if he's dragged down by this nonsense, it's going to be very difficult for him to pull off an entertaining series because if it's just going to be a bunch of lectures, it's going to die very quickly. I'm not going to be interested in that. The only hope here is that he says this stuff because he has to. This is how you navigate the minefield that Hollywood is. Doesn't matter how good you are. You slip up with the cult, you're out. But at this point, I don't think that gives you much of a pass. It's high time someone grew some spine because this superficial woketopia crap is doing severe damage to our society. And it's time to move on and abandon that crap. Tarantino was right. So there we go. Again, there's only really 2 Alien films. Beyond that, maybe it's another one like Terminator that should just be abandoned and say its story is told, and come up with something else. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.